It does have a derogatory effect over time if you're switching, not quoting, but switching a lot.
Okay.
And you're denying yourself the ability to get some discounts because of persistency as a customer.
So, obviously, we mentioned over the last few years, there have been fluctuations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think of housing markets in Arizona, Utah, Nevada, some of those, really everywhere,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
All over the nation. And then, of course, supply chain with the pandemic, post those things. But now, are we in a recession? Are we not? Thankfully, let's not think back to 2008, right? When all of that happened. Is this still something that, hey, that annual review is just so important because we don't know exactly where we're at all times?
It is.
Okay.
Whether or not we are officially deemed to be in a recession is almost immaterial because everyone's feeling the increase in gasoline price, the increase in grocery prices,
right.
The increase in airfare. Across the board, my son that lives in Baltimore owns a house in the city, and the cost of utilities, so water, sewer, garbage,
yeah,
they're increasing so rapidly that it's destroying his budget. So we're all feeling that to one degree or another.
Yeah.
And so are insurance companies. The cost, for example, to replace a front quarter panel on a car, or the rear bumper, or the mirror, side view mirror, because they're filled with sensors and electronics now that are very expensive to replace. You add that into that, what we talked about before, supply chain issues. It's really hard to get your car repaired in some cases now.
Yeah.
And insurance companies have made a promise to repair the car. If you have the coverage to repair the car, they made the promise to do that. And they made the promise to do that under pricing that existed a couple of years ago. And so the fairly dramatic increase in pricing that we're feeling as consumers, insurance carriers are feeling in, fulfilling their promises to indemnify or bring somebody back to whole position. It's really created an environment right now where carriers need to increase prices. They do that by increasing premium within the bands of rates they filed with the state. The states have to approve those rates.
Okay.
And so there's a little bit of delay for insurance carriers. They're working with yesterday's rates. They're paying today's prices with yesterday's rates. So for us as agents, advising and assisting, our customers, we are looking at all of those factors before recommending doing requotes, before recommending even changing carriers. Sometimes changing a carrier and a product is the right answer. Yeah. Other times, because of persistency credits that carriers give, if you've been a customer for multiple years, sometimes it's better just to stay. And fortunately for us, we can help people, even if they're not our customer, we can help them because we represent so many insurance companies.
Yeah.
The pricing in the insurance marketplace is increasing, and I know because I've had members tell me that they're frustrated that their insurance has gone up because they have teenagers now, or their insurance have gone up because they have a ticket, a speeding ticket.
Yeah. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in conjunction with that, right, we, I think the perception out there is, we've got to get a new quote every year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't be paying too much. I've got to get a requote, potentially, like you mentioned, change carriers.
Sure.
But there's also risk with that, too.
There is.
Yeah.
There is sometimes a derogatory effect on your risk profile from an insurance company standpoint.
Okay.
Similarly, when somebody opens up too many credit card accounts, there's a hard credit check, and it creates a derogatory mark on the credit report. But more importantly, if you listen to all of the advertisements bombarding the airwaves, Geico, Progressive, Liberty Mutual, USAA, Farmers, State Farm, Allstate, everybody that's advertising, on social media and on the airwaves are inviting you to get a quote because we can save you money is the message. And often they can for less coverage. Okay. So to be a savvy and informed insurance consumer, recognize that, okay, I'm paying this much now. I'm paying $1,000 a year for my car insurance. I would like to save some money on that. And if somebody offers me $800 for that year for car insurance, what's the difference? And that's where we come in. So, okay, let's compare the coverages and the liability limits. If you are doing state minimum liability limits, let's just say you have $50,000 liability coverage.
Yeah.
And you hit a Mercedes in the front passenger side quarter panel. You've hit your $50,000. If you hit the Mercedes and the Mercedes hits a Lexus and the Lexus hits the building that it's parked in front of, you've exceeded your $50,000 limit. So you're paying for what you get for, and it's a factor that not very many people consider, but you need to. You need to consider what the limits are that you're paying for to make sure that you're adequately covered and that you're making a good comparison. And so an annual insurance review, whether you are currently a customer or not, that's what we provide. We'll review the insurance and make recommendations. Sometimes the recommendation is let's just leave it right where it is. Your motor vehicle record shows that you have a speeding ticket 2 years ago, and as soon as you do a quote, that's going to appear, and the quote's going to be unsatisfactory for you.
Okay.
So the considerations, and we don't have enough time now to go through all of them, but you can think it through a little bit. And you think, okay, if I'm comparing the Geico quote to a Travelers quote, are they the exact same coverage? If I'm comparing a Travelers quote to an auto owner's insurance company quote, is it the exact same coverage? If you're a homeowner and something goes wrong at the stub in the street for your water coming in and your sewer going out, who's responsible for that? Well, the city can assess you, or a homeowners association can assess you for that. Are you covered for that? Well, auto owners has coverage built into the homeowners policies to extend to the stub in the street, which is a very unusual coverage and a very helpful coverage when you need it, right?
Yeah.
And so those kind of considerations are important. It's based on where you live, what insurance companies are competitive in where you live, what state you live, what city you live. And so I think that annual review is going to be the most important thing as an insurance consumer to do. Now, you could do it yourself.
Yeah.
Review it yourself. In fact, we encourage you to. Or you can come to us and we will go through it with you and give you the comparisons that you need to make good decisions to help with your budget.
Yeah. So, and maybe this is a silly question, but is Mountain America Insurance Services essentially my agent? If I get in an accident, is that who I'm calling, or how does this all work?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We are the agent, meaning we are the intermediary between the insurance company and you.
Yeah.
If you have an accident, go ahead and call us.
Okay.
We'll direct you and we'll help you. But you also can call the direct 800 number
for your insurance.
to the insurance company that is actually underwriting the policy.
Okay. We talked a little bit about why premiums are increasing, right? Mm-hmm. Just as everything is increasing. But tell me, what tips do you have for really managing our insurance? We've talked about the annual review and how important that is. Is there anything else that all of us as consumers can be doing?
Yes, there is. In some cases, when you're trying to manage the protection of your assets, and we call that risk management. Some things you just may decide not to cover. My wife and I celebrated our 40th anniversary by going overseas.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And we decided to go to a place we've always wanted to go. And the question was, what happens if we get sick overseas or get injured? So we started looking at travel insurance. And the repatriation back to the U.S. if you're sick can be very expensive. Sometimes you have to charter a plane to get from Bora Bora to the U.S. Or from France back to the U.S. You have hospital costs in other countries, but the transportation cost could be really expensive. And we thought that through, and in our case, every policy that we looked at was about $1,000. We weren't going to be gone that long. We were going to be gone a week. And we looked at the activities that we were going to be doing. And pretty much we were just going to be staying by the overwater hut we were in and walking on the beach and swimming. We weren't going to be doing jet skiing or any scuba diving, snorkeling. We were just going to be together. And so we assessed that and said, we're going to bear that risk. So we did not buy travel insurance. Now, if we were going to some other country, maybe we would have.
Yeah.
But in this case, we didn't. So as a family or as an individual or as a business owner, in an annual review, you assess the risk and you make choices. And sometimes the choice is not to buy insurance. So you avoid that cost.
Yeah.
But when you do need to transfer the risk you're bearing to an insurance carrier through an insurance policy, the way you can manage that is by the annual review, but also by online policy reviews alone as an individual consumer. Logging into an online review of your own insurance is a way for you to keep track of that, and shifting policies. So you have your teenage son, because they're of greater risk than teenage daughters historically, but that's changing because of cell phones.
Oh, okay.
Teenage girls are having more and more accidents because of cell phones now. But because you have teenage drivers, you see, okay, we have you with carrier A as a family. We have your home, your auto, and your umbrella. Let's take your daughter and put her on a separate policy in a different company to control that cost. Okay, that's a method.
Okay.
That's a method you can use. You can go to a company like Bear River Mutual, who we represent, and we say, okay, if you are willing to promise that, to warrant to Bear River Mutual that you don't drink, use drugs, or smoke, then you can get a discount on your insurance. The challenge with that is if there is a claim and any of those three elements are involved, then your coverage is reduced. But that's another way to control costs. Safe driving records. If you get a ticket, do the class.
Okay.
Get it taken off. So all those things accrue to your benefit in managing the cost of the insurance.
Okay.
So the annual review is what kicks it off, but then through the course of a year, you can do those things to manage your own insurance cost.
One other question I have. This was several years ago. There were some fires, right, around where I live. And all of my neighbors were like, hey, take a video of everything in your home real quick in case things go down. Is that something you recommend? Is that what we need to be doing, is going around and documenting all of our belongings in our home?
Yeah, I think it's a good practice.
It is, okay.
Yeah. You have a guitar, a piano, you have some jewelry, you have some art, you have, maybe other instruments, computers. You start adding all that up. Now add up all your furniture. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if it's damaged and it's under a covered claim, you want to be able to identify it. And so videotaping's good, photographs is good. And that's, again, not to always go back to annual review, but that's part of the annual review.
It is. Okay.
Okay, what have you added to your assets? What additional things have you acquired? And it just makes the claim management process a lot easier if you have that. And it helps expedite the writing of checks by insurance companies to indemnify you.
Okay. Awesome.
Smart neighbors.
Hey, smart neighbors. They may or may not have been insurance agents. So that's awesome. We'll take it from them. Tell me a little bit more about shopping when needed.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, I need to go get my free quote. It's going to take me 5 minutes or less to save me some money.
Yeah. So you if I understand what you're getting at, is you're prompted by some advertisement.
Yeah.
Maybe I can save some insurance. I'm worried about the family budget.
Yes, because I'm paying more for gas and groceries and all the things, right? Let's save money if I can.
Let's go get a quote and see if,
Yeah.
Harking back to one of the things we talked about earlier, that's good. But, right? But are you getting a quote for exactly the coverages you have?
Okay.
And there's a way to do that individually, just on your own. And I don't disagree. I mean, I'm a consumer, right? I'm an insurance consumer. The challenge with that is comparing coverages and premium.
Okay.
Do you have the same limits? Do you have it for the premiums that you're paying? And the other challenge is switching carriers a lot is derogatory, just as opening up too many credit card accounts, getting too many hard credit checks. It does have a derogatory effect over time if you're switching, not quoting, but switching a lot.
Okay.
And you're denying yourself the ability to get some discounts because of persistency as a customer. But because of the realities of shopping experiences, we have addressed that by having online tools available to our customers. So Mountain American Insurance Services allows a customer to generate their own quote with multiple insurance companies. So if you want to get a car insurance quote, for example, and you enter the information into the process online using your mobile device, you're going to get quotes from multiple insurance companies. Now, are they returning a quote based on the same coverages that you have now? Well, by going from that quoting process to talk to one of the Mountain American Insurance Services agents, then you can find that out.
Okay.
Then the process has been quickened and expanded because you've done the work as a consumer by originating the quote.
Okay.
And then the agent can help decide, okay, this is who you're with now. These are the coverages you have now. Based on what you put into the quoting process, we can recommend an insurance company to you. The other ways that we try to take advantage of having things online is, if you need proof of insurance, you can go in and do that as a Mountain American Insurance Services customer and print your own insurance card. If you're a business and you need a certificate of insurance for a job that you're doing, you can go in online and print that for yourself. So managing that process is very helpful. One of the members recently that I was speaking to, not in preparation for this, it was totally fortuitous. He lives by a body of water, and so they decided to get wave runners. And so they did the whole process with us online. Then, to make sure that he was worried about the kind of waters that he lived on, he called, he left the online experience and called the agent, one of our account executives, just to reconfirm that he was going to be covered in the waterways that he lives next to. And did it all online. It was very convenient for him. And he had the agent intermediation when he needed it. And that was a very gratifying experience because we've worked hard with Mountain America to continually try to improve on how customers can interact with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So best practice, get that free quote, see where you're at, but then also take that time to call in when you can. Okay.
Yeah.